Good morning, folks. We're back with another one. It's April 19th, around 8:30 in the morning. We're going to be doing a 3-car garage today. I kind of want to focus more on the repairs and crack repairs in the beginning here, because I know we've been doing a lot of coatings. I know it's a little redundant, but we'll go into a little more detail on the cracks and joints so you understand how we do it and what we do to repair them, and also what material we use. So I'll take you for a quick walkthrough so you can see what we're doing. Okay, so this is a 3-car garage, and they used, there's some joints in here, and they're called Keylock joints. At least locally they call them Keylock joints. But what it is, it's metal strips buried under this floor. Actually, these might be plastic. I might take that back. We're gonna find out in a minute when we grind here. But either way, they're recessed in the concrete, and then they pour the concrete over them, finish over them, and then you'll end up getting these cracks in the floor. Now, these were attempted to be repaired either by the homeowner or contractor, I don't quite know. But we're gonna grind the floor so it rips off this topical repair, exposes the cracks, and then we're gonna fill it with our material, the CFS 343, to try to fill it up again, glue it back together, and then we're gonna put our flooring system on top of that. One other thing I did want to point out, this is right outside the garage door. There's some little spalling here, which is probably from a freeze-thaw situation. I don't know if this was poured in winter or it froze. There's no way really telling why it happened. But what we're going to do, we're going to run this shot blaster over these front noses to blow all the dirt and debris out of the valleys of these little repairs here before we fill them with epoxy, and then we'll coat over that. Alright, so we're getting ready to start grinding here. I'm not going to have all the grinding on video just because that's what I show all the time. Just to at least get started here so you can see what we do. Talk about that scratch in the floor. That's what you're looking for. Just going to show a close-up of this edge when I grind this. This one's fairly rounded, but I'm going to show you how I carved the round edge in it. That way when a tire hits it, it's round and not a right angle. That edge of ground all the way across it. We're going to stop our coating about here. So you have to make sure you have a good scratch on that so your coating sticks to it. How clean these are on the inside now that the shot blasted out. That just knocked all the loose stuff out of it. The other garage bag. Same thing, it knocked all that dust out of the bottom. The latent that's in the bottom is still good. So now we can do our repairs and not worry about it. Alright, so now we're totally done grinding. So now what we're going to do is the shot. This is the leftover shot from the shot blaster. Some of it bounces out. It's very hard to see, I think, with this. But we have a big magnet that we use to pick this up. This is just to show how that looks. Run this over the whole floor quick, make sure there's no steel shot laying around. You don't want that. All right, so we're all vacuumed here. You see these joints. These are those plastic zip strips. I thought they were metal at first, but these are plastic. So everything is open except for down at the end of this joint. You see it's open there, and then it closes up. So I'm going to take a, what is this, a 4.5 inch diamond wheel, and I'm going to cut straight in here. I'm only going to go like a 1/4 inch, just because there's whatever joint filler was in here is kind of clogging the top, and I want the epoxy to get in there. So I'm just going to quickly run the blade down just to open it up so I get epoxy in there. I know I went over this in the last video. I'm just trying to go through this quickly just so you see what was done, even though I covered it in the last episode. All right, so we're getting ready to fill these cracks that Jeff just told you about. The other thing that we're going to fill too, when I showed the prep work on this, these little spalls along this front edge, we shot blasted these. You see how clean these are now? There's no dust in there. That's imperative that there's no dust in the bottom of these. So we're going to fill those after we fill these cracks here. So what I did, this is the CFS 343. Here's our ketchup bottle. This is pre-marked, but it's kind of hard to see these measurements on here. So I mark 100 and 200 milliliters. You don't want to mix more than this. This stuff sets really fast, which is good because you don't have to wait for it. But if you're not ready, you just got to watch it and catch up to you. So I'm going to mix this up really quick. I'll show you how we do the cracks. And Jeff can follow me as I do this. So we pour in, I'm looking the wrong way here. Normally this faces me. I'm doing this so you can see it, but pour up to the bottom line with A. B. Okay, so now we're going to move quickly here. So I'm just going to shake this about 10 times or so. This is very thin material. Now this is going to be ground again after we apply this. So obviously you're not going to see this. But now this is where I cut this joint open so I can get a little more epoxy in. So I'm just running right down this joint. I covered this in the last video. I just want people to see what was done. Okay, so you can see I went down and back already. So what you want to do is look behind you at some of the spots where it drained down. So I'm just going to quickly hit this a second time. See how this epoxy is still wet, but it gelled up. So I'm going to run down here again really quick. All right, so this is my next mix. I'm just going to do the mortar in here. So I just mixed up like I did the last one, 100 milliliters of each. I'm just going to pour it in an empty bucket. Now I'm going to dump some sand in here rather quickly. I'm going to say that was almost a quart of sand. I'm going to mix this in here, throw a little more sand in. And this is a self-priming epoxy mortar. It's still pretty wet. See what this looks like now? That's perfect. So now I'm going to throw this right on this front nose here. And since there's so many little areas, I'm just going to kind of throw this on here, trowel it around. We're grinding this whole nose again with a hand grinder. So this is not to be pretty. This is just to fill in all these little holes. And again, this is self-priming. You can see it wick right into the concrete there. Again, I covered this in the video yesterday. I just want people to see what was done in case they didn't watch the video, so they at least know that things were patched with epoxy mortar and how it was done, albeit very quickly. Now, whenever we do repairs on a floor, whether it's garage or commercial, industrial, we do the repairs with the epoxy mortar, and then we always grind over it, normally with the hand grinder, to knock it down before we put any coatings on top of it. The reason why we don't use the big grinder is the big grinder can hook it and actually tear the patch out. So it's easier to do it with the small grinder. Okay, I swear this comes up in every video. Mother Nature always has a curveball to throw at us. So originally we were going to do this on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Wednesday they're calling for 20 to 30 mile an hour winds and heavy rain. Well, that doesn't work well with the top coat. So we're going to do the prime coat and the intermediate coat and the flakes today. So I'm just going to walk you around. I'll show you our prep work, and then we'll get ready to mix and apply. Okay. So, I always talk about the scratches in the concrete. That's what you want. You want to scratch in the concrete. Everything has been diamond ground. You can see where I ran the hand grinder over all the crack repairs that we did. So now you have a nice solid surface floor. You know, we're also going to run up the walls on this. I don't know, here it's maybe 2 inches. There it's maybe 2 inches, and it goes up to maybe 5 inches there. We're also going to do these center beams. So we're going to put this primer down. I'll get back with you after that. All right, I'm not showing the whole thing this time because every video we do is very similar. So this is just the prime coat. Jeff's back rolling out here. This was applied, I'm gonna say, about 200 square feet per gallon. We made it with 3 gallons, not by much at all, but the next coat we're not gonna have enough. So the next coat, we are going to have the 3-gallon bucket of intermediate coat and a 1.5 gallons, which we're gonna need to dip into. And then we're gonna throw the flakes on that. Here's the flakes right there. And that's it. Okay, so our prime coat is down. Now we just put the intermediate coat down. Jeff is back rolling that. You can see, I'm gonna do a real close up here so you can see what this looks like. It's the action roller camera. You got that. I'm gonna start throwing flakes here shortly. That's a good heavy coat. All right, guys, now I get to say watch Jason work, but here he is broadcasting the flake, I should say. And I know you've seen this in our other videos, but you see how, again, it's thrown up in the air and allowed to just shower down, no clumps. And this is starting out as a medium flake, and then the homeowners have the option of deciding whether they want a little heavier flake look to it, or this is good, but we'll work our way around and fill in any gaps that might look a little lighter at this point. But it looks like so far we've got the flakes on all of the floor, along with the verticals, as you can see. So we'll give you a look as it is finished up. Okay, so we're back here, day number 2. Again, we did the prime coat and the intermediate coat on the first day. You don't necessarily have to do that. I would actually prefer if people put the prime coat down the first day, the second day do the intermediate coat with flake, and the third day do the clear top coat. But because of weather, we kind of had to move ahead and do this quicker. So now one question I get asked a lot is, do you need to scrape the floor after we flake it? If you're doing a full broadcast, yes you do. This is not, and I just want to show, this is the funniest thing. Of course I'm trying to find it now. Out of this whole floor, if you look at it, all the flakes are laying flat. There's one random guy right there. Can you see that? It's right there. So now, if you get the random flake sticking up like that, I don't know if I can do this while I'm holding the camera, but if you take your squeegee when you're putting your clear coat down and you go over it, it just snaps it right off. See how that snapped that off? And then when you back roll on top of that, with the clear coat. You won't see that, that'll just get rolled right in there. So no, you do not need to scrape this floor. What we are gonna do is vacuum the perimeters of this, because there's flakes, overflake, whatever, along the front edge, also along that step, which is kind of hard to see. So we're just gonna clean it up, then we're gonna throw our clear coat down, and today we're gonna be using the 137 MUV. We have a 500 square foot kit and a 200 square foot kit. So we have a total of 4.5 gallons of clear coat for this. All right, so I'm just getting ready to mix up the clear top CFS 137 MUV. I'm gonna flip this around and show you what it looks like. Okay, so on the bottom, that's part of the 500 square foot kit. That's 3 gallons. It's actually 2.95. And then the 200 square foot kit, this is a 1.5 gallon container here. So we're gonna mix this stuff up, throw it on quick, and get moving. Okay, so we got 3 gallons, well actually 2.95 gallons of the 137 MUV out there. And it's very hard for you to even see the line. Right in the middle of the shot is the line. So we're about 5 feet short. So I have my extra kit here. So again, this is the from the 500 square foot kit. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix this, which is the 200 square foot kit. I'm gonna pour it right in that bucket. So I'm reusing the bucket. As long as you're doing the same material in the same bucket, you can do that. That's the advantage of having all these buckets together. You can reuse them and mix right in it. Okay, so now we have the 137 MUV squeegeed out. We have the aluminum oxide broadcast into there. It's very hard to see, but it's in there. Clear on clear is not the easiest thing in the world to pick out on the floor. Jeff's doing the final back roll. This area over here is complete. I'll give you a little zoom in here. That's it. As far as coverage, we used about 4 gallons for 660 square feet on this. Any more, we're gonna puddle it too much, and you're gonna lose that texture. It's very important that you keep a little texture on these floors. So again, you can see the texture there. So that's it, we're gonna back roll. We have the clamps in place here. So when we close the doors will stay up about 1/2 inch. And then we're gonna let this cure out, and we are done. All right, Jeff is finishing up this top clear coat now. One thing I did want to point out, when you're doing a top clear coat, you're doing clear on the epoxy, so it's kind of hard to keep track of where you're going. So it's very important that mentally you lay out where you're at with the floor, follow a pattern so you don't miss a spot, because if you miss a spot, you'll absolutely see it. Of course, you never see it while you're doing it. So pay attention where you're rolling, lay out an area and follow a pattern to eliminate missing an area. So that's another floor. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. If you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.